The Phantom of the Megaplex is here. You know, it's really a bummer they couldn't get Emmy Rossum for this movie, considering she's in Phantom of the Opera. Although I guess she's in that later because she was a kid when this movie was made. This movie was made in 2000. But why didn't they have the foresight to know that she was going to star in Phantom of the Opera? Instead, they put her in Genius.
I gotta say, this is definitely the only person who's ever been in any role of Phantom of the Opera ever. So I think you're right. I think it was impossible to have anyone else be a respectful role for a Phantom of the Opera movie other than Genius Girl.
Just saying, she was in a DCOM, and it wasn't the Phantom of the Opera DCOM.
Yeah.
It was Genius.
How many different versions of Phantom of the Opera are there?
I don't know.
Probably a couple.
Probably a couple. Do you know it was a book?
I think I did know that.
I didn't. I watched the movie in choir class in middle school.
Which one?
The Emmy Rossum one.
Oh, okay. I think I have a list here of all the Phantom of the Opera versions.
Are any of them cool?
There are so many of them.
So many?
Literally, there's a whole Wikipedia page on adaptations of Phantom of the Opera.
And the best one? Phantom of the Megaplex.
Probably not. Do you know they have 7 Phantom of the Opera games?
Okay, that's hilarious. Welcome, everybody, to the DCOM Duo podcast.
I'm Benji.
I'm Kelsey.
What's our cool nicknames for this movie?
I'm Kooky Kelsey.
I'm Based Benji.
We work at the movie theater.
Woohoo!
Everyone gets a cool nickname when you work at the movie theater.
And no one actually calls them that, but I definitely remember their names better because of, so there you go.
He calls them that. He's like, I assign everyone cool nicknames because I'm a cool guy.
Thank you for tuning in. We're the DCOM duo.
We're talking about Phantom of the Megaplex today.
If you're listening to this one, either you're nostalgic for the film or a true follower of the podcast.
Or you just love the movies.
If you're just a movie fan, this is the movie for you. Even though I'm pretty sure every movie reference they make except Phantom of the Opera is a fake movie.
Do they even reference Phantom of the Opera? They do. Okay.
They say that's the first film shown in the old theater.
Yes, they do.
And they also, he has signs.
He also, referenced Wizard of Oz at one point.
Okay.
He said, there's no place like home.
Yeah.
But they don't say Wizard of Oz. Every movie pretty much in this movie is fake.
They name drop 20 movies throughout this movie.
And they're just,
and
none of them are real.
And I feel here's spoiler alert. And by spoiler, I mean just for our opinion, not on the movie. I think we'll keep the plot a surprise. Neither of us really cared too much for this movie.
Yeah.
Which we thought we weren't going in because, again, this is our second time watching every DCOM, and we didn't have particularly fond opinions of this the first time. And I think our opinions slightly improved on the second.
Yeah, I would say a slight improvement. If anything, I'm more confused about my feelings.
It's just, there's a lot going on in this movie, and it doesn't lose your interest, which really puts it above all of the bottom of the barrel movies that are DCOMs, because I watched that and I could follow the plot, and there was never a moment where I thought there's nothing going on. And those are two things that will ruin movies if those aren't there. The problem is, it's just nothing interesting is going on, even though there is literal interesting moments.
Yeah, but are they that interesting? This movie's forgettable.
It's forgettable. That's a good word for it. It's just, it exists.
Uh-huh.
If you were a kid and really like the idea of a movie theater, which movie theater is a cool location, I'll say that.
I love the movie theaters. Don't get me wrong. I fucking love going to the movies. Yeah. Okay. No, I think it's a good time. Movie
fans.
Yeah. We like going to the theater.
We're making a podcast about movies, which ultimately aren't theater movies.
Yeah, these aren't theater movies, but we love going to the movie theater. We get our popcorn. We get to sit in our nice recliner seats.
Kelsey tries to sell everyone AMC memberships.
Exactly. We get to salute Nicole Kidman, and then we watch a movie.
Yeah.
In like a cool big screen dark theater, and it's a good time.
Yeah.
And I feel like movie theaters make me like movies more.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I would agree. It becomes an experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's a whole different conversation, especially one that this movie doesn't touch on, because this is like peak movie theater is right about now. Maybe not, because VHS were already invented, but
yeah. And we have multiple friends that have worked / currently work at a movie theater. We didn't bring any of them for this.
Yeah, we could have asked someone to come on this, but
as an expert, nope. Too bad. You'll just have to take our word for it. Of, is this movie accurate to a theater? We did watch it with one of our roommates worked at a movie theater, and they were like, oh yeah, I gotta watch this DCOM because it's about movie theaters. Yeah. And I think they were like, yeah, that's pretty accurate to like kind of the craziness sometimes of working at a movie theater. So
yeah. I mean, again, nothing too crazy happens in this movie, but there's also some hijinks.
But also just like the people like complaining and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, this movie's Phantom of the Opera, so
not really. Let's just get into the factos.
Let's go. Yeah.
Did we have any fan mail?
I don't believe
think we did.
Have any fan mail.
That's a bummer. We don't have any Tammy's Corner.
No, not this week.
She didn't care about Kim Possible.
Or forgot. It's fine. Yeah, if you have any fan mail, we'd love to hear it. We'll read it out at this segment and the time after we get it. Unless you tell us not to read it, we can also keep it a secret. Ooh.
Secret. Like that is
Please
secret.
Email us at thedcomduo@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd love to hear it.
All right, let's get into the factos, the DCOM duo factos for Phantom of the Megaplex. Phantom of the Megaplex was released November 10th, 2000. I mentioned this earlier, like off
camera,
off microphone. Podcast. Sometimes people treat this like a Halloween DCOM. I don't really think it is. It like, yeah, it has some like spooky vibes because there's like a ghost. But
if you're in the Halloween spirit, you could watch this as a Halloween movie.
I feel like this is a good one to watch in like September. It's Halloween light, you know, where it's like a little bit of a spooky vibe, but not overly Halloween.
It's like a clear fall feeling.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why, but it feels like fall.
Yeah. And it doesn't take place on Halloween, and it was released in November. So I'm like,
I don't know.
I don't really count it as a Halloween DCOM. Also, it's the 23rd DCOM. So
pretty early.
It is directed by Blair True. She has not done a lot. I guess I'm assuming Blair is a girl. It might be a guy.
Blair's a androgynous name. Is that the right word? Androgynous?
He's a guy.
Okay.
Blair True hasn't done much else as far as I can tell. He directed some like Power Ranger shows.
Huge.
So and like some random Nickelodeon
his career did
movie.
Not get launched by Phantom of the Megaplex.
No, he has not done much.
Which, not a kid actor, so I can just say, yeah, I don't think he did a good job directing this film. I think this film, if it's missing anything notably, it's directing.
Yeah.
Because there's just never that special feeling that you get to it.
It's also kind of hard to follow. Like, I was writing notes throughout the whole movie, and most of the time when I'm taking these notes, it's pretty clear when a section of the movie like is over. Like, okay, now we're talking about this portion of the movie. Now we're moving on to this. Mm-hmm. This movie all the time was jumping all over the place, which is fine. It was just like harder to follow, though. It was less coherent.
Yeah, I don't think that's innately a sign of poor direction, poor editing, or anything, but it is a choice you have to actively make and like strongly hold to make sure the whole flow of the movie isn't interrupted by it.
Yeah.
And well, again, the best things I can say about this movie is it never lost my attention, nor did it ever feel like nothing was going on. It didn't do anything with its like bounce back, fast paced cuts natures of like trying to figure out where every character is at every moment.
Literally, most of the movie is where's this person? Where's this person? Which I get, like, the movie's kind of chaotic because it's supposed to be like, oh, it's such a chaotic night happening, which is fine. I just like, it didn't really work for me, if that makes sense. And the first time we watched this movie, I fell asleep. So that tells you how boring it was for me.
Yeah. But we'll get more into that when we get into the scenes. I'll just say overall, I feel like the direction could have used a bit more idea of what the whole product was going to be rather than trying to get all of the beats of the story in the right, like, logical conclusions. Because the story, the math of a mystery film like this, because it's a mystery aspect to it.
Yeah.
That is the most important part in theory, and it does succeed at telling a mystery with a solution that makes sense enough, and that's fine.
Even though on IMDb, all of the like goofs / potholes are about like the reveal.
Yeah.
So, like, that doesn't make sense, which is pretty funny. We'll talk about it later. Okay, let's get into the cast. So our main character, Pete Riley, is played by Taylor Handley. He has not done anything like super major of note. He was in 3 episodes of Dawson's Creek. He was in 6 episodes of The OC. He had a minor role in Bird Box. Remember Bird Box?
I do remember Bird Box.
I never watched it.
Neither did I.
It was a cultural moment, though.
People were into that for a second.
Currently, he's on a show called Mayor of Kingstown. So if you've heard of that, I haven't.
I felt like his performance in this movie was
fine.
Very just bland. Not too much to it. He doesn't do a bad job. It doesn't do great. He just always sounds like a dude bro. And for some reason that like I think took out some of the potential emotion in his performance.
He's got nothing on like Ryan Merriman or even like the guy who's in You Wish.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're better
straight men. Because his whole thing is he, along with theoretically his siblings, but especially him, is the one that's normal through this whole world of chaos.
Yeah.
Everyone else is like a one-dimensional character.
He's like the cool guy that knows everything. Like he's the assistant manager at the theater. He can fix any problem.
Yeah.
Whatever.
He's supposed to be like our narrator figure, and I feel like it just is
Yeah. His sister Karen Riley is played by Caitlin Watts. I don't know. She was in Inspector Gadget 2.
Huge role.
Yeah, and she was also in Airbud World Pup and Airbud 7th Inning Fetch. She played Andrea in both of those movies.
Just saying, for the record, if they ever finally put the Airbud films on streaming, they haven't.
We are going to binge them all in a day.
Possibly make podcasts on it. Because nostalgia and also it's Airbud.
I've never watched an Airbud movie.
No?
Except for Air Buddies. I watched.
And that's like not the same.
No. It's
the Airbud films are much better than the Air Buddies.
Yeah. I would love to watch them. Okay. Their brother Brian Riley is played by Jacob Smith. Most notable role I saw, he was in both Cheaper by the Dozen movies.
Gotcha.
As Jake Baker.
I assume that's the original run as one of the kids.
I have no idea. I've never seen Cheaper by the Dozen, so.
Yeah, my sister got mad about that. And I said, it's Cheaper by the Dozen. That's not even that good.
Yeah, she's like, what? You haven't seen Cheaper by the Dozen? And you were like, nah. So like, cool, I don't have to. Julie Riley, their mom, is played by Corinne Boer. You thought she might have been the aunt from Xenon. That is not true. Okay. I was so with you though. Actually, she's the mom in Under Wraps.
Okay, so we had seen her.
Yeah, we've seen her recently because Under Wraps wasn't that long ago.
Yeah. So I there was a reason her face was sticking out.
Yeah, she's also done just like a ton of stuff in the 80s and 90s, like movies, shows. Nothing huge that I recognize, but you know.
Mm-hmm.
Sean McGibbons, he's the manager at the theater. He's played by Rich Hutchman. He was in 6 episodes of Mad Men, but he does like super minor stuff here and there, 1 episodes of this show and that show, like nothing big.
Going through this podcast and doing all these like actor histories really lets you know how many different actors are just not stars.
Yeah, like there's so many actors out there.
Are.
Yeah. Where it's like they've done some stuff, but nothing to know. Like they'll get a background character.
Which is like, there's very few A-listers in DCOMs. We do have one in this film. We'll talk about it later.
But, right, we'll talk about him next.
Yeah, like DCOMs, especially because they're kid actors. I mean, there's probably more A-listers that are kids than there are adults, but that's just because Disney's a machine that pumps out talent.
For sure.
But a lot of these people, this is like their only or biggest roles.
Yeah. Finally, there was a bunch of characters in this movie, but like
there are way too many to do factors on all of them, especially because the vast majority of them are like one-dimensional characters that do very little.
Yeah, so we're just going to end it with Movie Mason. He is played by Mickey Rooney. Yes, the Mickey Rooney, very famous name.
Yeah, just one of the most famous actors of all time.
Yeah. He did die in 2014. He was 93 years old. So all respect to Mickey Rooney.
He's the best part of this movie.
Yeah, he's done so many things. Some of the more notable ones, at least notable to me, he was in Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Mm-hmm.
He was in It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. He was in The Fox and the Hound. He voiced Todd the Fox in The Fox and the Hound. My mom loves that movie. He was in Night at the Museum, which is fun. And he was in some of those like stop motion Christmas movies. He was in Santa Claus Coming to Town as Santa. He was also in the Miser Brothers Christmas as Santa. That's the one that's like, I'm Mr. White Christmas. I'm Mr. or whatever, He was in that. He also had a cameo in The Muppets from like 2012 or whatever that movie came out.
I mean, that movie had like a ton.
Yeah, Ross Lynch was in that movie too. Or was that
I think he was in the sequel.
Yeah.
I think Selena Gomez was the Disney rep.
Nice. Yeah. So yeah, that's Mickey Rooney. Most people know, or at least have heard of Mickey Rooney.
If you haven't heard the name Mickey Rooney, you should.
You should.
He's a big deal.
Yeah. Now for our fun facts. Wikipedia said this is very loosely based on the Phantom of the Opera. I want to emphasize very loosely based. Like, what does it even have to do with Phantom of the Opera at all?
Where something's going wrong.
Yeah, there's a guy fucking shit up and he wears a little mask. And that's the similarities. They start and end there.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, when Julie arrives at the Megaplex, she mentions spotting Katie Sagal and LeVar Burton. Katie Sagal acted in the DCOM Smart House, and that movie was also directed by LeVar Burton.
And that came out pretty similar.
It was in 1999. It was when Smart House came out, yeah. So it was like a call out to that movie.
Shout out LeVar Burton for not only being just a big deal in his own right, but directing like one of the best DCOMs.
Yeah, for sure. We'll cover Smart House eventually.
Excited to do that when we do.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
It is good. All right, you ready for the Disney Plus description?
Give it to me.
17-year-old Pete Riley works as the assistant manager at the local multi-screen movie theater where rumor has it a phantom haunts the Megaplex. But while Pete and the rest of the theater staff are working to prepare for a star-studded premiere, a sting of peculiar occurrences, all tied to the films being shown, awakens the myth of the Phantom of the Megaplex. Is there really a phantom, ... or just a phantom wannabe?
Ooh. Good description. It says everything.
Yeah,
Like I have no complaints on that.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much the movie. Okay, you ready to dive in?
Let's dive into Phantom of the Megaplex. Ba, 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 ba.
Yeah, that's right. We're starting with some spooky organ music for this movie.
You gotta do that.
Our main character Pete is narrating. He's like, history is boring, but sometimes history can slam into the present and blow your mind. I don't know why the movie starts like this.
It really doesn't need to. He could just be like, At one point there was a theater, but it got destroyed, but there was a guy in it, so now he's a ghost.
Well, it's like when you're writing a paper for school and they're like, you need an attention grabber. Yeah. And he's like, this is my attention grabber.
That is such an accurate statement. Wow.
and the teacher's like B+, like, you know. Okay, so Phantom of the Megaplex. He tells us that the first ever theater in his town, I believe. I don't think it's the first theater ever.
It's not the first theater ever. It's the first one in like the town. City.
Yeah. It opened in 1925 and it played Phantom of the Opera. And then it collapsed. And rumor has it that there was a guy inside and maybe he survived, but maybe he didn't.
To be clear, it was an intentional collapse.
It was?
Yeah. They destroyed it to build the Megaplex on it.
Oh, okay. Well, the rumor has it like a guy was still inside.
A guy was still, yeah.
Yeah. And now he like haunts the theater.
As the Phantom of the Megaplex.
Yeah. And he's like, that's me, Pete Riley. I'm
probably wondering how I got here.
I'm the youngest assistant manager at Megaplex like ever. And Sean McGibbon is the senior manager. So he goes through and he's like introducing every single character.
Yeah, we're basically given a suspect list immediately.
Yeah, well he doesn't introduce his family. He just introduces everybody that works at the theater.
Yeah.
Even though like some of these characters have like 2 lines moving forward. But it's just let you know like this is who's around.
And we get fun little like written on screen names.
Yeah. Also, we learned that a new film, like, filmed in this town a few months ago or whatever, and now it's premiering, and they, like, convinced the premiere to happen
go
here.
In, like, Hollywood to actually premiere at this Megaplex.
Yeah.
Which is a big deal.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, big deal. They're having a big, like, Hollywood premiere in their small little town at this Megaplex. Okay, so now we're going to meet all of these people. So Ricky Leary, a.k.a. Ricky Rules. He's like, everything has to be done by the book.
Yep.
He's a hard worker.
Has like 5 lines.
Yeah, he's like, I know shit. Okay. Terry Tortora is nicknamed Scary Terry because she's like constantly telling scary stories.
Yeah, she's probably the biggest out of the minor characters in terms of
has lines or what?
And everyone is just like, ooh, this is spooky. Remember when everyone died when this happened? And it's just like, I heard that. Ooh. And it never gets old because it was never good to begin with.
Hillary Horan is nicknamed Hillary Honey, and she's nice. He never calls her Hillary Honey. I feel like he never uses these nicknames ever again.
No, he doesn't.
But it does help you remember who they are. Because it's alliteration.
And it also rhymes. Like, remember, all of these characters are one-dimensional. Yeah. And this describes their dimension.
Yeah.
Hers is, she just is like country darling, sweetie.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's okay, hon.
Yeah.
Out to everyone.
Mark Jeffries is nicknamed Question Mark because he's always asking questions. I like that one. I think it's clever.
I like how he says everyone calls him for like all the other people, and this one he says I call him Question Mark.
I call him Question Mark because I'm his boss, and he's always asking me questions. Is probably the reasoning.
And he is theoretically competent at everything he does, but he always just asks one stupid question that I feel like the writers really force themselves to make it work.
Yeah,
but it's just kind of dumb. Mm-hmm. Where they're like, "Oh, you're talking to me about this." When it was just like, can you do this?
Mm-hmm. Next, we have Lacey Ling. She is Racy Lacey. She's always working really fast and talking really fast. She's just like on hyperdrive all the time.
Imagine having the nickname Racy Lacey. I feel like that does not sound good.
No, it doesn't. Next, we have Merle, a.k.a. Merle. He's the lead projectionist at the theater.
He is the only one of these that we've introduced so far to be an adult other than Sean McGibbons.
Yep.
Those two, yeah.
Yeah, everyone else is teenagers, which
it's
I feel like most movie theater staff is going to be like teens or college students probably. Yeah. And finally we have Movie Mason, who's Ricky Mooney. Mickey Rooney. I said
Ricky Mooney.
Ricky Mooney. Mickey Rooney. He doesn't work here.
He worked at the old theater.
His family owned the original theater. And now he doesn't work at this Megaplex, but he thinks he does. And every week he like hands Sean the schedule he made for himself, and Sean just like throws it away.
Yep. Everyone likes him except Sean.
Yeah.
But he just doesn't actually work there.
It's just like a kind of a weird guy that hangs around the theater. I don't know.
He's harmless, but yeah.
He is harmless, yeah. Well, until later. Okay. So now we learn that Pete has tickets for the premiere tonight. He got them for the girl that he likes. So things have like gotta go smoothly, okay? And then Lacey runs into him and they drop straws everywhere. It's already chaotic.
Yeah, no, he's so focused, and like a lot of the plot goes on trying to make this relationship work. And we get so little development on these two characters.
For the girl he likes. Yeah. I think Caitlin, I believe. Yeah. Anyway, cut to Sean, the manager, lecturing everybody like they're all lined up. He's like, tonight has to be perfect. And then he gets a call from Mr. Niedermeyer, who's his boss. And Niedermeyer's like, my son-in-law is going to be the general manager of the store instead of you.
Bye.
Bye. Sean is like, Pete, you're a good man, but I'm fully prepared to blame you if anything goes wrong tonight.
Pretty funny.
Yeah. Okay. So then Pete drives home. Because they're like, everyone goes home and they have to be back by like 3 that day.
This is like the morning preparing for the whole day.
Yeah.
And then they come back when people actually watch movies. It is a Saturday, so some people had to have been staying.
Probably, but not everybody's working tonight.
Yeah.
Because it's a really big deal.
Well, they say everyone's working tonight. And then like,
well, everyone's supposed to work.
Everyone is not.
Yeah. Everyone's supposed to be working tonight. Okay. So then Pete goes home. We meet his little sister Karen. She's mad at her mom for like being stuck babysitting her little brother. And it's because mom is going out with her boyfriend George. We learn that Karen loves movies, and so does little brother Brian.
All of them love movies except arguably our main character.
Yeah, Pete like, it's kind of confusing because he's like, why do you guys like movies so much? Even though he literally works in a movie theater. But then later he's like, you think you're the only one who loves movies? I also love movies. And it's like, the development it's not paid off well because it wasn't really there.
I'll say this much. They're probably into movies in part because he gives them probably a lot of free movie passes.
Yeah, he probably does.
Yeah, it is well established in these scenes that he works too much at the movie theater.
Yeah.
And that's because he really likes it. They try and paint this as he needs to work less. And while I get that and do ultimately agree with it, I feel like they underrate the fact how much I think he loves just the ins and outs of the operation.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he likes that more than anything else, is trying to like micromanage and figure out the concessions need to work like this and the theaters need to work like this and getting everything to work flow.
Yeah, I feel like he sees a career path.
Yeah.
Here.
And it might not be movie theater necessarily, but it is like operations he wants to work in.
Yeah.
Which is something, the operations is cool. It's fun.
Then the kids are like, Mom, George should propose to you.
This is like the E or F plot of the movie.
I know, it's weird.
They cut to it like 3 times throughout, which is
so unearned. I feel like a lot of things in this movie aren't earned.
I feel like this movie could have justified being a half hour longer. I'm okay that it didn't because I don't think they would have used it well.
No.
But like, there's so many little plot points that are just not developed.
Yeah, they just want to establish like, no, the kids do like the boyfriend and are okay if she gets engaged.
Yep.
Whatever. Okay, Brian wants to go see a movie and Karen wants to see a bloody movie. It's called like Death at the University or something. I don't remember.
I think they make a whole point of trying to like, the mom can't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
Campus of Blood or something.
University of Death.
University of Death. Neither of us got it.
Yeah, whatever. Brian isn't allowed to see the movie, and Mom's like, neither are you, Karen. You're not allowed to see it. Mom's like, go see Farmer Brown. And then
Brian.
Yeah, with Brian. And then I'll come home earlier than I was originally going to.
From the day to go pick them up.
Yeah. Or just to be home. I think originally Pete was going to drive them home after, and the mom will just come home basically at the same time. And she's like, take the deal or leave it. I wasn't going to let you see University of Death either way. So. Like whether I had a date.
So Brian just gets the win here.
Yeah.
Because he gets to see the movie he wants to see for no consequence, basically.
Yeah. All right. Cut to Pete eating dinner. I guess early because he has to be back at the theater by 3. He's just eating now. And you said it was a bowl of goop. Did it look gross or something?
I mean, it's like some rice dish, but he's eating it in a big bowl. And I'm like, that just seems a little weird, especially because he's eating alone.
Well, he has to eat before he goes to work. Yeah. So. And the mom like corrects his grammar.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Can you drive your siblings to the theater?" And he's like, "When I have a girl coming,
they just can't be annoying me then.
They can't cramp my style." And she's like, "It'll be fine. They love going to the movies. They're going to be focused on the movie." And then they reminisce about his dad, who's almost certainly dead. And she's like, "You work too hard." And he's like, "Nah, it's cool." All right, cool. Moving on. Cut to the theater. Half of the staff hasn't showed up for one reason or another. It's only the people that was introduced in the opening or the people that are working.
Which makes sense. They're not going to introduce the characters to just not have them be in the rest of the film.
Yeah. So Sean has the hiccups because he's stressed. He's like, all breaks and dinners are canceled for the employees tonight. And even though that's like probably against the law, you don't get to complain about it. Because tonight's a really big deal, okay? Nobody gets to eat dinner. And Terry's like, spooky story, blah, blah, blah. And Pete's like, who cares, Terry? Let's go to work.
Terry this whole film.
Who cares, Terry? Okay. Karen at home plots over the phone that she's going to take Brian to the theater, but then sneak into the other theater of University of Death. And Brian's like, what the fuck? And Karen's like, whatever, I'll give you $5. And he's like, make it $10 and take me to the movies again. Whatever.
They make a deal. It does not matter or is relevant the rest of this thing.
Not really.
Yep.
See, we're already breezing through this movie. There's not much to say.
Well, we haven't even got to like the whole events yet.
Okay, back at the theater, Movie Mason is like greeting people. And people are trying to pull a sword out of a rock to try and get 50 free movie tickets. What movie is this for?
Probably some King Arthur movie.
I guess so.
We don't get to know this. They have invented a lot of fake movies in this. Side note, just going to mention it now because I wanted to. Every single time they go into a movie theater and like show a fake movie on there, the footage on there is relevant to whatever's happening on screen, or B, it's just like the most painfully boring or non-movie looking movie you've ever seen. Like way later on, there's a tornado film, and it's literally just
tornado footage.
It is just tornado footage for like the 3 minutes in that
literally
scene.
Like what is this movie?
And that's a full theater of people watching it.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so some assholes come to bully Pete and talk to the girls that he's hanging out with.
And Pete gets defensive because apparently this bully just comes and is Mr. Steelio girl.
Yeah.
He just is going to be like, okay, you did all the work of getting her to the premiere and I'm just going to smooch up to her.
Yeah, and then Pete storms off and he goes, why does that dog make it so easy for me to rattle his cage?
Funny line.
It's honestly kind of sexual too. Okay, Pete's in the back room and he's like, damn, I hate that guy. He's going after my girl. And he's so good looking and he has cool stuff.
I mean, yeah, how can you compete with that?
I think these two are just actually in love with each other. Movie Mason tries to talk to Sean about his ideas, but Sean like shuts him down. And then he's like, I can help you like with the tickets. By the way, it's like super busy right now. And it's not even the premiere time.
It's a Saturday night.
Yeah.
Year 2000.
It's probably like 3:00. Yeah. So it's like kind of peak movie times. People are like, oh, let's go see a movie and then we'll go get dinner probably. So like it's really busy. Mason's like, let me help with the tickets. And Sean's like, you don't even work here. And he's like, I don't care that I don't work here. I just want to help. Like, you don't even have to pay me. And Sean's like, fine. Okay. You can help. And he gives them a bow tie. By the way, they all wear bow ties as part of their uniform. It's like just kind of a thing.
I mean, we talked about this a little while we were watching the movie. First off, it feels like the outfits are identical to the movie theater outfits in Drake and Josh.
Yeah, that must just be a stereotypical movie
Color scheme, whatever.
Yeah.
Second, like the workers are dressed up at a movie theater, and that's just got to be a relic of like.
They have to have some kind of. I
It
feel
used
like
to
they wear like
be
a black shirt
such
or
a
something.
going out thing to go to the movie theater.
Yeah.
And now it's so like lazy, which is better for our generation and how we're doing that, because now the movies is like experience of relaxation and like just being able to focus on that rather than a big formal social event.
Do you remember when movies used to not have assigned seating and you had to just go find a seat? That is so stressful.
Yeah. No,
I love that it's assigned now.
Like that happened in this movie where they are trying to be like, oh, we got to go save seats for these people and everything. I'm like, yeah, man.
Because if you showed up late, like the lights have already dimmed, it's so hard to see kind of what seats are open if people are saving seats.
I get why they had it like that initially, because that would get people into the theater earlier, which means they have more time for concessions and to see previews, which will get them to. Yeah,
I love that it's assigned now.
Yep.
Like it takes so much stress away.
Evolution of movie theaters has gone from being able to watch the movie, because everyone now knows you can wait to see a new movie in theaters. You wait 3 months and it's on streaming.
Yeah, if even that long. Yeah. Sometimes it's sooner.
So they have to really make the experience the part of it. Before, it was, you're going to have to pay to watch this movie regardless.
Yep.
So if you want to see it now while it's hot and the big deal, you got to go here. And then you go early and it's like, you're here to watch the movie, not have a good time.
Yeah, and it'll take a while before it's like out on DVD.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, in 2000, DVD wasn't even that popular.
No, it was like VHS at the time.
I think it was VHS, yeah.
If you want to rent it from Blockbuster, you got to wait, okay?
Shout out Blockbuster.
Hell yeah. Okay, so the kids are now getting dropped off by Mom and George. And the line to get into the theater is like super backed up. And Brian kind of goes ahead to see like what's taking so long. And it's Movie Mason. He is holding up the line because there's two dudes just trying to see a movie. And Mason's like, your movie choice sucks.
Yeah. Pretty funny.
This movie's a stinker.
They hired Movie Mason because it was so busy.
Yeah.
He's explicitly not a worker there. He's not getting paid for this. He just wants to do it.
And he's actively holding up the line. He's hurting them right now.
Because he's just like, oh, you guys are seeing this movie, that Marvel filth? Go watch an Oscar nominee instead.
Literally.
Glimpses of Genevieve.
He's one of those like elitist assholes that is like, no, that's not real cinema.
He's a Martin Scorsese type.
They literally already paid money to go see a movie and he's not letting them inside.
Letting them go.
Because he's like, I don't agree with your movie choice. It's like, dude, get over yourself. What the hell?
But then everyone treats Sean negatively when he says, you can't do this. Also, it's a huge insurance risk to be doing this right now. Because it would be.
It's like, hey, we'll take your money, but also you're not allowed in. What? Yeah. Like, so Sean is like, you're fired. And like, oh, poor Movie Mason. Like, no, this guy's being an asshole right now.
Brian like witnesses this happening. That's the youngest child.
Yeah, he says, you can't treat Movie Mason like that. He's a legend. And Sean goes, not to me.
It's just like, he's a legend. It's Movie Mason.
Oh my God.
Like, everyone loves Movie Mason except Sean. And it's kind of weird because why would you?
Well, like Brian and Karen really love him. And I think it's just because they love movies and he loves movies.
But also like people in the stands are like, Movie Mason, no. Like, don't fire him. And he just goes down the escalator, never to be seen again.
Yeah. And so while he's going down the escalator, he's leaving. He's like, even when I'm not here, the magic is not far from my heart.
It's because he's the Phantom.
What? Okay. So now Pete is talking with his siblings, and they love movies, and he doesn't really, I guess. I don't know. And then Pete sees the girl he invited, and he ditches his siblings. And then Brian breaks the candy dispenser machine. And then the bullies come over and they're like, here, I can fix it. But then all the gumballs fall out. And then they blame Brian for it.
Pretty rude.
And then Brian goes, it's the Phantom of the Megaplex.
He like screams this.
Yeah, he's like, oh my God, it's the Phantom. It's destroying everything.
Luckily, no one else here believes in ghosts.
Yeah.
Other than Terry.
And then Pete comes over to save the day and he like knocks over a garbage can. Don't worry, it's empty. And he starts hitting gumballs with a hockey stick.
Yeah, he just took a hockey stick from a poster, which
it must be out of cardboard though, right?
No, it's a real hockey stick.
Why is it a real hockey stick?
Just so the scene would work.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a terrible idea to have a real hockey stick in arm's grab.
Yeah.
That's just asking for danger.
Yeah.
But I found this scene very silly and pretty entertaining because it is just like a solid 30 seconds of him shooting like 6 gumballs at a time with a hockey shot.
All into the
garbage can.
Yeah.
Not a single one misses.
Yeah.
Shooting 6 of them at a time. That's insane.
And everyone is like gathered around applauding him.
Yep.
It's pretty funny.
Except for Caitlin, the girl he's moving.
She is not into. Everyone's just like, stop what they're doing to watch this kid hit gumballs with a hockey stick.
Which I would be there, but I also am with you. I don't think other people would be.
No, they'd be like, what the fuck?
People would not be chanting for him.
It's like a spectacle. He's like, whoa, I know how to make a mountain out of a molehill. I'll hit these gumballs with a hockey stick. It would have
been quicker to just get a mop anyways.
Or a broom, not a mop. Yeah. You need a broom. Or, no, not a vacuum. Maybe if it was a big hose one, you could suck up all the gumballs.
But hey, what do I know? I'm not an assistant manager at a Megaplex.
Yeah, maybe we should ask Dylan.
Yeah.
Is he the assistant manager?
I have
no idea. I know he works at a movie theater. Okay. Then we see Karen telling her friends to save a seat while she gets Brian all settled in his theater. And so they go into the movie theater and Brian's like, cool, bye. I'm going to watch my movie. Like, I don't care about you, Karen. I'm here to see a movie. I'm not here to hang out with you. I don't even care that you're leaving me. Whatever. And then we see an old lady walking around and I guess she's a cinema sitter.
Yeah. They mentioned this in a one-off line earlier in the film. I don't know if this is actually a thing. It probably was.
It probably was. I doubt they just made it up.
But it's just like an old lady who walks around more or less to make sure that kids aren't sneaking off into other films.
Yeah, make sure that nobody's sneaking off into movies they don't belong in. Make sure that everything in the theaters are going smoothly. I'm guessing that if there's any disruptions, they go and handle that. Is what I'm assuming it is. Mm-hmm. So, okay.
And yeah.
So she has to dodge the cinema sitter.
It's a whole thing, but it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know why she would want to leave cinematic masterpiece Farmer Brown Goes to Town, which
pretty cool.
I think out of all the films that you see any footage of is the worst offender of just being poorly acted and boring.
Yeah.
But all of that one is just Farmer Brown telling people, stay, don't
leave because they're constantly leaving.
Yeah.
Okay. Cut to Pete flirting with the girl, Caitlin, and he's like, movie stars are coming tonight. And they're like, oh my God. He's like, yeah, I can get you to meet them or something. I don't know. I'm pretty cool. And then he gives her his bow tie and they're all flirty about it. But then douchebag comes and sits by the girl and he's like, oh, Brian, there's a popcorn emergency. You have to
take care of.
Yeah, there actually is.
He's not making it up. He said, oh no, there's something going on.
Yeah. So you better leave. So the popcorn machine is just fully overflowing, why is there an endless amount of popcorn seeds? I mean, usually I wanted to bring something
up about this. We learn in 10 minutes of plot time that the Phantom is the one messing everything up. That's an actual things are going on.
Someone is dressing up and messing things up.
Yes. And that all of the things that are going on are related to the movies that is going wrong.
Yeah, so the
popcorn machine doesn't make sense.
I think this is before the culprit thought of messing things up in theme.
My headcanon is this is just a normal mistake.
It might be. Why did the kids put the whole container of popcorn seeds in?
Mark's a little silly. What can you say?
Mark's a little silly. They're like, we try to turn it off, but the off switch isn't working. And Pete's like, just unplug it. And they're like, why didn't we think of that?
Because they're
like,
dumb.
They're idiots. Yeah.
But I mean, you're panicking. And hey, they got a bunch of bags of popcorn ready. So
that I know, right?
They'll recover
like,
pretty
just
quick.
Catch it. Like, honestly, it was when we saw the Barbie movie. They like had us wait for popcorn because they didn't have enough popped. I feel like this is the opposite of a problem.
Yeah. Well, it is a problem because you have to actively be getting it.
Well, once you turn it off, now they have like a full container
once they turn it off, everything's fine. But they didn't know how to turn it off.
Yeah.
So
they're being dumb. Okay. Then a lady comes out and tells Lacey that her movie's all blurry, and it's because it's called like Glimpses of Genevieve or something.
This is a woman who comes out and tells Lacey in the most anti-Karen way possible.
Yeah, she's like, I usually don't make a fuss, but I didn't realize this movie title was so literal.
It's just like, and literally everyone in the theater is like booing and getting mad at the screen.
Oh, they're like throwing stuff, and it's
this is before the popularization of like Karen in media in terms of anti.
Well, there is a Karen later in the movie though. That's like, man, let me talk to your manager.
Yeah. But I'm just saying this is more the popularization of that as a term. But it really feels like this is a mom who is trying really hard to not be a Karen.
Yeah.
Which is
it's pretty funny. Which I'm like, how is only one person coming out to complain while literally everybody's like standing up and booing?
Which is pretty funny if you were actually there.
Yeah. When I went
This is also the Oscar bait movie that like Mr. Movie Mason said everyone should watch. So bad recommendation.
Yeah. When I went to go see High School Musical 3, they started playing the wrong movie. And my grandma went to like go tell people, and I think multiple people went up to go tell someone like, hey, this isn't the movie we paid for.
Do you know what movie it was? That was the other.
I think it was a movie about like a kid that was kidnapped.
It was like really dramatic and bad to begin with.
It was like a kid that was kidnapped and then comes back and they're like, we found your kid. And the mom's like, this isn't my kid.
You're like, this is better than High School Musical 3.
Courtney was like, hell yeah. But I'm like, no, we're here to see High School Musical 3. What the heck? I want to see High School Musical 3. I was like, probably like 11 years old or something. I was like, I want to see High School Musical. Okay. Back to the movie. So everyone's yelling and booing. They're like, fix the projector. Focus. Come on, focus.
It's just funny because they're yelling at nobody.
They're yelling at the theatrical person working the projector. Lacey needs to find Sean, but he's I said he's checking on Brian. I bet I meant Pete. Lacey's like, I gotta go find Pete. But he's checking in on his brother, Brian. And so Pete's in the theater with Brian. And he's like, where's Karen? And Karen earlier was like, just tell him I'm in the bathroom.
So Brian says, I'm in the bathroom. And she's in the bathroom.
And Pete's like, how long does it take to go to the bathroom? And Brian's like, oh. But then Pete goes to the Blurry Theater and he handles the situation. But people are still mean to him. He's like, hey guys, sorry, we'll get it working. But if you want a refund, we can get you a refund. And they're like, whoa. And then Brian is all of a sudden right there and he's like, it's the Phantom of the Megaplex. All the stuff is going wrong and it can't be a coincidence. And he's like, go back to the theater. So then as Brian's going back to his theater, he hears a mysterious laugh and he does some ninja moves. The laugh is like the
classic evil laugh.
Yeah. And then there's like real eyes behind like the farmer cutout, which is really creepy. So somebody's watching him.
It was the Phantom of the Megaplex.
And he did a little laugh. He did a little Okay. Now Karen is in the theater watching University of Death. And her friend April is like, you should scream, I love this actor, or whatever. And Karen's like, no, you. And they're like, don't you dare April to do anything. If you dare April to do something, she'll do it. And April's like, yeah, I fucking will.
And then she does it.
And then she stands up and she yells, and everyone is like,
she also claims to be Karen during the yelling, which is a little funny to me.
Oh, that is funny. Did she say like, my name's Karen?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, good for you. Except also fuck you for interrupting this movie. What, to be funny?
The movie even shushes her.
Yeah. Haha. This part's so pointless. And then
this movie's got a lot of pointless parts to it.
Yeah. And then Karen leaves to check on Brian, but he's gone. And also the movie's like, where did he go? And then the theater sitter sees Karen and she's like, oh, my brother should be back soon. And then she has to sit in the seat. So she's like kind of stuck there for a little bit. Okay. Cut to the workers falling apart at the concession stand. Where's Pete? Where's Sean? I don't know. Most of this movie is where's this person? Lacey comes over saying there's another disaster, so they need to find Sean. Cut to Pete trying to fix projector problem. Where's Merle? I don't know. Where's Merle? It's an emergency. Where is everyone? And then Brian is back again. He's like, it's sabotage.
Oh,
and
Brian, it's not the Beastie Boys song.
Brian's like, you need my help. No one can find Sean. And Lacey and Terry see a guy in a mysterious cloak. Cool. Then the theater sitter sees Karen in the hall. She's outside the bathroom waiting for Brian. So they're like, Brian, come out of the bathroom. And so this is what I mean, where it's like, it's just cutting through all of this stuff happening, which I get. It's supposed to feel chaotic.
Yeah.
But like, it's not doing it for me. I think it's just lame and hard to follow. At least in note taking wise.
Yeah,
it's not really hard to follow.
The majority of the audience is not taking notes.
Yeah. Note taking wise, it's not easy to follow, guys. So just watch it and don't take notes. Okay. Cut to Merle inspecting the projector, saying someone is sabotaging them. And yeah, and he's like, I don't know how they did it. Like, and it's never explained how they fucked with the projector. Because even Merle can't really figure it out. So
it just happened.
People are like, we want refunds, blah, 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 whatever. And then behind the concessions, the staff is freaking out more. And Pete is like, okay, Brian, I'll let you help me. And then Karen goes back to her friends, even though she never found her brother. But then she's like, actually, I gotta go find my brother. And then she leaves.
She never gets to go see this horror movie.
Cut to Pete and Brian trying to find Sean. They like go down to the basement. This Megaplex has like 1 million staircases that go down, which doesn't make sense to me.
I don't know. Like,
it goes deep.
It's a 26 like screen place. That's pretty big.
They don't all have their own floor.
There's at least 3 floors to this building.
But like, remember later when they're going down and it's like so many staircases? Yeah. How does that make sense?
Maybe they were on the top floor and then they go down 3 sets of floors and then into a basement.
I don't know.
It's not worth overthinking, especially because they probably did film this in a movie theater. Probably.
Maybe not that part of it.
Yeah, probably not. But like, they worked it all together. It's not that important to me.
Yeah. Okay, Pete and Brian find Sean tied up in the basement with duct tape on his mouth. And he's like, someone came up behind me and tied me up. And Brian's like, it's the Phantom. And Niedermeyer, the big boss, he's going to be here in an hour. So they need to like fix things. Okay. Then Karen spots Brian and Pete. And Pete's like, yeah, nice work, Karen. Keeping an eye on Brian. And then the escalators go out because they're on the escalator right now. And Pete is like, you two go see Farmer Brown or I'm taking you home. And Brian and Karen are like having their own conversation. And Brian's like, we need help. The titles of the movies are matching the problems that are happening. And then they run out because they hear screaming. And it's because this is the Cyclone Summer part.
This is one of the more funny parts of the film.
So there's a movie called Cyclone Summer. And this is the movie we're talking about where it's just like a tornado, maybe like a hurricane, because it's called Cyclone Summer. That it's just footage of like a tornado. Yep. And somebody
people are paying money to watch this.
Someone put a giant fan just in the front of the theater and turned it on.
Apparently got rolled in.
Yeah.
With no one noticing.
How did everyone just see a guy in a cloak roll in a giant fan, turn it on, and then leave? And they're all like, what? Okay. Honestly, it's like a 4D movie.
Yeah, no, people would pay extra for this.
Yeah. And things are blowing everywhere. And like, look, Caitlin's here. The girl Pete likes. And then Pete comes in to save the day. And he turns the fan off with difficulty.
Yep. There's also This is a movie that feels like a Goop movie. This is the closest we get to a Goop.
Just stuff flying around, popcorn flying around.
There's one time that like water and popcorn goes on in one guy's face, along with a guy losing a toupee. I'm not going to count it as Goop.
No. Okay, cut to Mom and George. This is like a random scene. We get to check in with Mom on her date with George. Their date is cut short. I don't remember why or what they were doing. Some place they were going to is closed or something. Mom is like, look at those potted plants. No one should uproot those potted plants.
They're or maybe like, they don't want to be married.
Yeah, it's a metaphor for marriage.
That is overlong.
Yeah. And George is like, you can't just think about the plants. You have to think about the buds. So they're like, okay, it's okay not to get married right now. I don't know. And then Mom gets like a pager beep. She has a pager, right? Yeah. Pretty funny.
This is pre-cell phone.
I know, it's just funny. She gets a little beep beep. No, she has a cell phone too.
Yeah, no, she uses George's cell phone.
Oh, okay. But she gets a little pager beep from an unknown number. So she calls it back, and it's the theater payphone. Pete had a caller on it, and Pete's like, I can't bring the kids home since I don't get a dinner break anymore. And she's like, oh, it's okay. Like, I'll just come get them with George. Tell them to wait on the blue bench in the theater. But then, oh no, the car won't start.
Yeah, they hang up before.
Which that isn't the Phantom.
No, it was.
No, there's no way.
Phantom drove all the way there.
Okay, Brian is like, boo, I don't want to leave. And then Sean comes in and he's like, it's Mason. It has to be movie Mason. He's the Phantom.
Sean is very convinced of this. Also, we talked about them finding Sean, right?
Yeah, he was tied up.
Yeah. Just remember that.
Yeah.
So he hasn't seen anything that's been going on.
Yeah, but now he's here and he's like, it has to be Mason. And Brian and Karen are like, there's no way. He's cool.
Brian's more like that than Karen, but
Karen's also defending him. Yeah. Pete is like, stay on this bench and wait for Mom. And then he goes outside to the premiere to find Mason. And we learned that Mason came back and got a ticket to Merlin on Mars. Oh, Merlin on Mars. Maybe that's what the sword is for.
Yeah, probably.
I just put it together.
There you go. What do you think the funny thing that happened in Merlin on Mars?
I don't know.
What's the sabotage there?
I guess it wasn't sabotage. Couldn't think of anything.
They crashed the moon into the theater.
Brian finds Mason's schedule that he made himself in the trash.
Because he just goes digging through the trash for fun.
Yeah, they're like sitting next to the trash can. And it's very interesting. And then Brian leaves and Karen follows. And Brian asks one of the workers where Mason usually takes his breaks. And I guess he usually goes down to the basement. So they go down to the basement. And Karen's like, how do you know about this? And Brian's like, I was literally just here with Pete. Which makes sense because they came and saved Sean.
Yeah.
And then they see the Cloak Man and they hear the mwahaha evil laugh. But they must go on. Cut to Pete. Mason is actually not seeing Merlin on Mars because he's not in either of those showings. Showings. So they don't know where he is. And to George, he doesn't know how to fix the car, so they call for help. Cool. To Brian and Karen.
Just basically, things are still going wrong.
Crazy.
Let's just keep the focus on the young kids.
Yeah, so Brian and Karen are still going down the stairs. There's like a million freaking stairs. Karen's like, we should just leave. But instead, they find a bunch of like prop stuff. And Brian finds another like secret tunnel / room. I don't know. And he goes in to see where it goes. And then we see Mom complaining about not being able to call anyone at the theater. So they just call the payphone again.
Yeah, they call back the payphone.
Yeah.
This film doesn't work as well in the era of cell phones. And I got to remember that there was an era before cell phones.
Yup. And so they call the payphone and just a random guy answers.
I think it is goon number 2 of the evil Mr. Stelia girl. But regardless, it's essentially a random character.
Yeah. He answers and he goes, City Morgue.
The mom screams and goes, ah!
They hang up and then they call again. And this time Mark answers the phone. And
Mr. Question Mark.
Yeah, and she's like, go see if my kids are on the bench. And he's like, no, the kids aren't on the bench. And she's like, well, go find Pete. And he's like, okay. And he like leaves the phone hanging because he's gonna come back to it.
Yep.
Because he's gonna come back to it.
Eventually Racy Lacey picks it up.
And, it happens right now. She like is just walking by, sees the phone dangling, and hangs it up.
But to be fair, this never has any other like come back to it because they just weren't able to get back to it, you know?
Yeah.
Mark didn't have the time anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Downstairs, Brian and Karen are looking at all the stuff, and there's like scary photos of the Phantom of the Opera. I don't know.
Man, it really seems like this could be movie Merle. No, not Merle.
Mason.
Merle's a different character.
Yeah. Mason shows up and he's like, you guys found my hideaway. And they're like, do you know what's been going on here tonight?
They're slightly freaked out.
Yeah, they're like, it's not you, is it? And he's like, children. He
starts going into his evil monologue.
Magic is all around us. It's not evil.
It could be described as that, like, begin with. He doesn't say no until
he doesn't say no. He's like, children. Magic is all around us.
Movies are awesome.
Blah, blah, blah.
Movies.
As you grow up, magic is less real, but there's always magic at the movies.
This movie loves the movies.
It does. Which is why it's kind of a bummer I don't like this movie more. I like The Fabelmans.
Movies about movies is a certain movie type.
It certainly is. He's like, if there is a phantom, I assure you it is most definitely not me. Cool. Thanks, Mason. They believe him. Cut to Pete. He can't find Caitlin anywhere. Sean is also gone again, and things are a disaster. A woman comes over. This is the Karen I was talking about. She's like, where's your manager? I'm like an agent or something of the celebrities that are out waiting in the limo, and we're tired of waiting. And then Ricky rules Ricky? Ricky rules? Ricky rules. He's the one that follows the rules. Remember him? He's arguing with douchebag Donnie. I gave him that nickname. About refunds and not letting him stay for the mirror. Because he's like, we can get you a refund. I just can't give it to you now because I don't know where my manager is. And douchebags were like, then let us stay for the premiere. And he's like, there's not enough room at the premiere.
Honestly, this is brought up like it's going to be a issue and he's going to be able to be there for finale. I don't think he is. I think he does leave.
He does leave, yeah. Pete comes over and he's like, fuck you, Donnie. And then the fire alarm goes off in one of the movie theaters and everyone's wet. It's because the movie was called Floodgates. Why are there so many natural disaster movies?
I don't know. It was really popular at that time.
Then Pete goes to see his siblings, but the mom hasn't shown up yet. And then Brian thinks that Merle is the Phantom because he said he was underappreciated earlier. He's like, I'm the only one that can do the projectors. I'm underappreciated. So Brian's like, it's definitely Merle because he did the projector thing. And then a trailer, he's like, come here, let me show you. There's a trailer rigged to play some spooky thing over and over again. And Brian's like, Merle's the only one that could have set that up. Mm-hmm. So it has to be Merle. He just wants to be
Brian is very confident.
He's so adamant. So they go up to see Merle and Brian accuses him of being the Phantom.
Very aggressively.
Yeah, and Merle's like, no, I'm just trying to fix the issue. I don't know how it happened. And Brian's like, fuck you. You just wanted to be the hero. And then they see Cloak Guy fucking things up in the theater. And Pete's like, holy shit, he's real. And Brian's like, oh, I guess it's not you, Merle. Bye. He doesn't even say sorry. Whatever. Then they go down where Cloak Guy was, and it's all foggy. There's like a fog machine. And
what film was that for?
Some foggy.
The Mist.
Yeah, it's some kind of natural disaster, probably. And Pete's like, okay, I want your guys' help now. To his siblings. And Mom and George are still stuck, just in case you're wondering. Brian wants to use Sean's computer to look up the plot of the movie that's premiering to try and figure out what the Phantom is going to do to sabotage the movie, right? Pretty smart. But they're like, nobody knows the plot. It's hidden and there's no trailers, I guess.
Yeah, no one. Well, this is before trailers spoiled the movie.
Yeah. Well, even like, they're like, nobody knows the plot at all. And Brian's like, just look up spoiler sites.
Yeah.
Duh.
It's because Mr. Main character don't know that the internet exists. Yeah.
It is 2000. The internet's not huge.
No. But apparently Brian does, and he's that into movies.
Yeah. Okay, so then they go into the office and they find Sean is tied up. He's like hanging behind the door, tied up with tape on his mouth. He's tied up again. Yep. Meanwhile, Terry and Holly are scared in the bathroom. And it turns out it's just Karen's friends trying to crash the premiere. They were hiding in the bathroom. But they say, get out. And then we never see them again.
Yep, they leave.
They leave.
We needed an end to their story.
That was a very important scene, guys.
Yep.
In the office, they're still trying to figure shit out. And Sean's like, we need to act normal for Niedermeyer. Then Niedermeyer and people start coming in, including celebrities, I think. Water balloons were somehow floating above their heads. Yes, and Lacey pulls a string down, and then all the water balloons fall down. What's happened?
There may have been an intention for like normal non-helium balloons.
I think they were supposed to be normal helium balloons.
Yes. Well, maybe not helium. I think they may have just been normal air balloons, so they fall.
Oh, and that's why she pulled the string. But then Pete was like, no, don't.
Yeah, I don't know.
It doesn't really make sense.
It doesn't make sense. Don't think about it too much.
Don't think about this movie, okay?
This movie makes sense on a surface level, and that's what I'm going to judge it on.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Brian's reading the plot of the movie, and he realizes that the Phantom is going to try and suck the air out of the room because that's what happens in the movie. Because
the monster got so big.
Sure.
That is what he says. Like, okay. It's sure. Meanwhile, like, while they're talking about the movie premiere, it's revealed that the monster on top of the building,
it's gone. Where is it? Also on their way out, Karen grabs a key that she just found on the floor of the office.
I mean, yeah, if you find a random floor or key on the floor, why not steal it?
I mean, when things are hooky going on, you gotta, okay? Niedermeyer is like, why am I wet? And why is the monster not on the roof? And the agent lady from earlier comes in and she's like, goodbye. We're mad because it's been so long and we've been waiting. So they open the doors.
Hooray!
Mickey Rooney is outside on their little like red carpet, but it's not a red carpet. He's singing a song. So Ben, if you're listening, you were right. Mickey Rooney sings a song in this movie.
Yeah.
Congrats.
You got it right.
People are like so into it.
People are very much vibing.
Hollywood movies, yeah.
And then I think we get like the best moment of the full film, right, in response to this.
Sean comes out and he sees him singing, and I thought he was liking it because he kind of smiles, but
he's trying to just put on a good face for everyone there.
Yeah, but then Sean comes over and he's like, "What are you doing?" And Mason says, "I'm entertaining your bored guests." And Sean has a smile on his face. He says, "Listen here, you freak show! I told you to keep away from here this evening."
It's such a happy demeanor to say that mean of a line.
You fucking freak. What did I say? Like, it's so mean. And then the movie star comes out of the limo and she's like, is there a problem?
Oh my god, Moody Mason knows the superstar actress A-lister?
Turns out they're friends. This was her hometown.
I feel like we should have known that from a detail earlier, but whatever.
Definitely should have. And Mason was the first person to encourage her to be an actress.
Wow.
So Sean was put in his fucking place. Damn. She's like, this is my escort, movie Mason. He's the best. Yeah. So fuck my Sean.
Poor Sean. Everything's going wrong on this big night for him. And then he got put in his place. Luckily, nothing else can go wrong for him.
Exactly. Then mom shows up and she's like, I don't care about the mirror. I just want to see my kids. So please let me in the building. I'm not here to watch the movie. And the worker's like, okay. And lets her in. Like, if it's that easy to get in somewhere. But she does say, like, I'm Pete's mom. Mm-hmm. But she's like, I promise I won't stay. And he just believes her.
Yep. No one else tried that, so that's their fault.
If I saw that happening, I'd be like, let's go say we're looking for our kids. Okay, then Karen and Brian tell Pete that they know the movie plot. And Pete's like, the dinosaur balloon's gone, and so is the roof key. And Karen's like, I have the key, so they go to the roof. They see the balloon rope there is cut. Someone took the balloon.
Dun, dun, dun.
Where is it hidden? Cloakman is behind them, and Pete's like, I'm sorry I underestimated you guys. And then Phantom Cloakman jumps on them and wraps them in like a tarp.
Yeah.
And
he says, force family bonding.
Yeah, and ties a rope around like their legs so they can't get out of it.
Yep, and just abandons them on a rooftop.
And then he evil laughs with Echo.
Yeah. Mwahaha. And this is right after Pete was like, man, you guys are kind of smart.
You guys are cool.
Which, like, honestly, they act like that's a big revelation for him. It doesn't really feel like it. He's like, yeah, I'm smarter than you, which he is. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, I know you might have some theories about everything going on, but also I need to fix all these issues.
Inside, Mom can't find the kids. She asks Hillary for help. The kids on the roof are shuffling over to find the pipe valve. And Pete's like, I like movies. This is like that
one movie. See?
That's not a real movie.
I know movies.
I know movies too. And then they lower down to the valve, but they fall over. Mom and George are looking for the kids, and the premiere is starting. And the director is like, let the mayhem begin. But then the giant balloon starts inflating above everyone because there's like an upper part, I guess.
There's a balcony.
Yeah.
Some theaters had balconies.
But nobody's on the balcony. Even though this is like a sold out premiere, they didn't sell the balcony seats. Anyway, everyone is scared.
That's a good point.
Thank you.
I'm trying to come up with a reasonable explanation for that. Maybe it was already blocked, but they didn't tell anyone that it was blocked.
I don't know. Everyone is scared since the balloon is falling on top of them, and the director gets eaten by the balloon. On the roof, the kids still try for the valve. Inside, there's more balloon shenanigans. Back to the roof, the valve... Okay, they like untie the knots somehow with the valve.
It's not as dumb as I think you're making it out to be here. Because
apparently the knots are very poorly tied.
Yes. But I feel like they could have also just jimmied out of it because it couldn't have been tied that tight.
They could have just shimmied.
Very quick.
They could have just shimmied. They could have just like gotten a little closer together.
Yeah.
I think.
Pretend like they like each other.
Yeah. Whatever. Okay, so they get out of the blanket and they run into the theater, which is blocked by one of the inflatables. So then there was also some like gorilla inflatables blocking the door. So that's how they're sucking the air out of the room. Nobody can escape. And there's balloons. So they run to the above like balcony part, which is there for some reason, and Mason's here to help. He was like in the bathroom or something, so he's not stuck in the room. They're like, we need to get the sword out of the rock. And so Pete's like pulling and can't get the sword out. And then Merle comes over and he's like, just turn it off.
See, he doesn't think about turning it off in all his own situations, but he's like, turn off the popcorn machine.
Yeah. So he turns it off, and then Pete runs with the sword and jumps on the balloon and stabs it a bunch of times. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mason sees the Phantom behind the screen, and he's like, Pete, the Phantom. Oh my god. And so Pete chases the guy and fights him like behind the screen.
Yes,
so you can
it's
see
like
the
fun little silhouette performance where
very dramatic.
They fight, but you can only see in the silhouette what's going on.
Everybody is watching.
Everyone's
Nobody's helping.
No one helps.
No one helps.
They're watching a teenager go and fight a theoretically like villainous, dangerous
person
who kind of made a like attempt of death here.
Not really. Well, maybe to suffocate everyone.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Some like stuff is going wrong.
They swing on a rope.
Yeah, I don't know where that rope was.
I don't know. And then they tear through the screen, and Pete rips the mask off. The mask is like the Phantom of the Opera mask, by the way. So that's the one similarity this movie has with Phantom of the Opera. He unmasks him. Oh my God, guess who it is? It's Sean, the manager. It was him the whole time.
It was pretty obvious.
So this is the like goof part where they're like, that doesn't make sense. How did he tie himself up?
I feel like you can tie yourself up.
Yeah, I feel like you can too, but they're like, there's no way he like put duct tape on himself and tied himself up.
You just do the duct tape first, and then you tie yourself up, and then you jump onto a coat hanger.
And then you dangle there and wait for someone to find you. Yeah, it's not that deep. Niedermeyer is like, fuck you, Sean, you're fired and you're banned here and you'll never work in any theater ever again. And
he gets really sad, but luckily the director of the movie is like, hey, I'm gonna hire you. You're gonna be
make a movie.
I'm gonna make a movie about you.
What you did here is pretty kooky. It's called The Phantom of the Megaplex, and that's what he's gonna call the movie.
Well, it's not just Phantom of the Megaplex, the Sean McGibbon story.
Oh yeah.
Because it's a big deal that was like we're not talking about, where Niedermeyer would never get the name right for Sean.
Yeah, and Sean was like, "Fuck you, Niedermeyer, you never noticed me," and he throws his bow.
That's why that is the motive behind this.
Yeah,
which is kind of dumb.
Because remember, he hired his son-in-law. Yeah. Okay, Pete is like, "I should lighten up more, huh?" And they're like, "Yeah, you should." I don't know.
Sure, I don't get how that's the moral of the story.
Not earned. The director. Oh yeah, you already mentioned that the director talks about. Brian says, all we need now is a 4-star movie ending, and George is like, bet. Hey, mother of these children, plant metaphor, will you marry me even though I don't have a ring right now? And Movie Mason's like,
I'm here out of nowhere. Here's a ring.
Movie Mason is like, I have a ring I carry with me just in case moments like this arise. Here you go. And then George is like, will you marry me? And Mason's like, oh my God, you're proposing? What? She said yes. Yay. And then Niedermeyer is like, hey, Pete, you want to be senior manager of the Megaplex? And he's like, yeah, I do. But then he looks at his family and he's like, actually, no, I don't. I need to spend more time having a life. And also, sir, and he grabs Caitlin. He hugs her close. He's like, also, sir, I'd like the rest of the night off because I want to hang out with this girl I like. Niedermeyer ain't no cock block. And he's like, you know what? You deserve the night off. Here, go get some dinner on me.
Niedermeyer's pretty nice. He just hands him like, no, it wasn't dinner. It was get some breakfast after the movie.
Oh, yeah, because it's like late at night.
Well, I also kind of like the implications, like, go sleep with her.
Oh, my God. And then Mom's like, time to leave. And Pete is like, hey, Brian and Karen should stay for the premiere because they're cool.
And the mom says, oh, I don't know. Okay.
Okay. And Pete's like, we should all be together tonight. And what a better place than the movies.
Because the movies are magic.
And they all stay. And Mason is letting people in and doing a better job. He's like, enjoy your movie.
It's okay that you're not watching a good movie.
It's okay because the girl, the movie star, is like my mentee, I guess. I don't know. And then Mason's like, hey, Brian, you should be worried about the werewolf of the Megaplex. And Terry's like, bet.
The end. They were setting up a sequel on the off chance this became like a huge hit.
I really doubt
they
ever actually
they never were going to.
They just like, you know how when you're writing an essay and you need a good closer?
That's what this movie is, ain't it?
A bad essay.
This is a 3 subject essay.
It's like a middle schooler wrote an essay and got a B+ on it.
Yep.
Cool.
And it's not Big Fat Liar, where that's the plot. Also a movie about movies, funnily enough.
So that's Phantom of the Megaplex. Pretty forgettable, pretty boring in a way that's like stuff's happening, but is it really?
This
is how I feel.
This is the equivalent. Watching this film is the equivalent of sitting on a couch and just kind of like scrolling through your phone for an hour and a half.
Things are just happening at you.
Because there's never a single moment in time where you're like, there's not nothing I'm doing. My brain is getting activity, but none of it is like amounting to anything substantial.
Like, I don't care about any of these characters.
This is such like a zero gain movie from what we got from watching this, really. Yeah. Which, like, it's not negative. There are other films that are negative.
Yep.
There's films that will like actively bore you or actively offend you. This isn't either of those. There's nothing inherently wrong about this, which is why it beats the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, I still have it pretty low though. And so did Jank House. The final Jank House ranking is 103. Mm-hmm. You also had it at 103. You just kept it there. I have it at 109. We both have it in F tier.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
It's an High F movie. Tier,
maybe.
Yeah. I had it mid/low F tier. I kept moving it lower because I'm like, I really don't care about it. Like, I'm never gonna go for this movie again. Yep. I don't think.
Unless we do this again, we will never watch this movie again.
Yeah. Sorry, Mickey Rooney. I think you deserved a better DCOM.
At least he got to have a whole spiel about movies are cool.
And he got to have a song.
So he got a lot out of this.
Did he?
Money, hopefully.
Hopefully. Yeah, so that's Phantom of the Megaplex. Yep. If you have thoughts on this movie, you can email us at thedcomduo@gmail.com.
Yes. Otherwise, follow the TikTok for this. That's the DCOM Duo on TikTok. We have a new TikTok up there.
No, I don't.
Yep.
No, I don't.
Yeah, there's a new one out by the time of this video, which is late to the last time.
Whoops. You ready to spin the wheel?
Well, we got to predict what movie we're gonna get.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna get zombies.
That would be so fun. I think we got to go Halloween theme because it's gonna be October next, or at least close to.
It'll be close. I don't know if it is October.
What's 2 weeks from Monday?
October 2nd.
Yeah, so I think we should get a Halloween one. We're gonna watch Halloween Town 2, baby.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna hit a year of our podcast.
I believe that is in like 3 weeks.
That's exciting. We'll talk about it next episode then. All right. Yeah. So I think it's gonna be Halloween Town 2, and you think it's gonna be zombies. It's going to the mat.
Going to the mat.
Gosh, our first Andrew Lawrence movie, right?
The king of DCOMs.
Is he?
I think we agree.
I thought Jason Dolly was.
We'll figure it out.
Andrew Lawrence definitely is a king of DCOMs. I love him. I love the movie season. Going to the mat. Let's go.
Woo! Only somewhat problematic.
Only a little.
Only like moderately problematic.
Just
but
in the
also
casting, because it's about a blind kid and another blind guy's in it, and they're played by non-blind actors.
Yeah. And they don't necessarily perfectly represent blind culture, but hey, I'm not blind. I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, it's about wrestling. Sport DCOM alert.
Woo. Woo.
It's a pretty good one, actually. I'm excited.
I did like going to the mat more than I thought I would. So it'll be interesting to watch it again.
All right.
Tune in 2 weeks for us to talk about going to the mat.
Going to the mat.
No, it's only one T.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And why is his name Matt?
His name's not Matt.
All right. Bye.
Scenes from our next episode.
Man, Matt really is blind, huh?
I don't think his name's Matt, but
and why is he going to it?
I don't know what his name was though, so I can't correct you.
His name's Andrew Lawrence.
Oh my gosh, is that Wayne Brady?
The Wayne Brady of Wayne Brady fame.
I didn't know he was blind.
He really hides it pretty well in Let's Make a Deal.
Let's wrestle.
Man, that one high school bully sure kind of turned his life around after losing to a blind kid.
Damn.
Okay. Didn't expect that.
Well, that scrawny kid really learned how to wrestle.
Man, did he lose the final match?
I honestly don't remember. So
I do remember. You want me to say it?
No.
Tune in next time to find out.
This is scenes from next time.
Bye.